I think it's a sense of accomplishment.
Ultimately, I think it's a sense of freedom.
It's kind of an escape.
Mastery, like you just feel.
It's just like no other feeling.
So incredible. You feel like you're invincible.
The adrenaline,
Completely focused.
it can be scary
You kind of just take off. Like
to a point where you're on the wall and you're getting, super fatigued and pumped.
everything below you on the earth just disappears.
And it's just like this whole wave of emotions, at one time.
You zone in to exactly what you're doing,
But then you get to the top of that pitch.
and you're just in the moment.
Do you want me to tell you my backstory? Is that how you want to do this?
What's your first and last name? Who are you?
I am Dalton Borton. I was born here in 2003. Probably would not go anywhere else. I was actually born in Anchorage at a hospital there. I've lived up here my entire life, and I love it. I'd say pretty grade A answer would be my dad, my father, kind of introduced me to the outdoors and being an outdoorsman, and then from there it just kind of skyrocketed after, he did his dad-like things, and
Ever since then, I've just been anything from fly fishing to ice climbing to hunting. He's really kind of brought me up and taught me everything I know from this point forward. And my mom has always comforted me, but she's super nervous when I do all this fun stuff. But it's always enjoyable with those two.
How do you want to start out?
Yeah, how do you want to start out?
So I start with, I'm Gabriel, and I'm an ice climber. What sounds the best in the movies? I'm Gabriel, and I'm an ice climber. Hold on. I'm Gabriel Dobson. I'm an ice climber. I grew up in Florida, Webster, Florida. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. Grew up on a farm in Webster, Florida, feeding cows. And then we moved up to Alaska, and then I started feeding chickens. In Florida, at least, was primarily running around catching lizards and snakes, reaching into holes, hoping I didn't get bit by snapping turtles or anything like that. Small amount of noodling, never do that. So whenever I moved to Alaska, it's quite a stark contrast, since everything here that's gonna kill you is big. Well, I moved up here when I was about 8, 7, something like that. And we lived in Eagle River. My adventure with climbing really started with Calvin. I got a phone call one night. He said, Gabe, you want to go climbing? And I was like, sure. I ain't got any ice picks, but whatever I need. He said, yeah, I'll provide everything. So I came into Calvin's house, got all the gear, and we went to Barbara Falls. My friend Dalton was convinced I wouldn't like Barbara because it was small, but sure enough, enjoyed it. Yeah, as soon as I got on that, I was like, holy crap, this is a whole new world. Something I really hadn't experienced in the past. And Calvin was the reason I started, and I'd say Dalton was the reason I got good, because my buddy Dalton, we've always been somewhat competitive. First starting out on the dive team and even in middle school fishing and stuff, that transferred right over to ice climbing. And I just thought, well, he's been doing it a year, so I gotta get good.
How I came to know Calvin was we had this high school class together, which we basically did not try in at all, and we're still able to pull an A. But we found a lot of same similarities, like music, and then he took me on just a basic climb out here in Anchorage. It's just more or less a technical hike called Pioneer Peak, and we kind of clicked from there on, and we ended up, he kind of passed down the skills, and so he took me ice climbing, and then I was also friends with Gabe at the time, so I kind of linked those two together, and then it became a undefeatable trio, I guess.
That was really where my, whatever you want to call it, the space race, the ice race, whatever you want to call it, started.
Adventuring started when I was really little for me. I grew up on the East Coast in Philadelphia and Florida, kind of jumping back and forth. And to me, adventuring was going out in the woods and building forts with my sister and catching frogs and all that jazz. I read a lot of books when I was little, and I still do. A lot of those books were kind of sci-fi, fantasy stuff, where there's a lot of adventure elements. You think of Lord of the Rings, where you have Frodo going off to, throw the ring in Mount Doom, or Bilbo going off to slay the dragon. And that sense of adventure really resonated with me and inspired me. And I would always go out in the woods and imagine myself off in this mystical land and kind of lose myself in the adventure. And that started when I was just a little kid. I mean, when we moved to Philadelphia, we were dirt poor, and my dad went out and found a house with a nice big backyard because he knew that he had a son who liked to play outside. And so encouraging that sense of being an outdoorsman and going outside and exploring the outdoors and venturing, that really is all thanks to my dad.
Your day.
It was kind of crummy. I threw up a lot of times.
How many times would you estimate?
10 or 15 maybe.
It's like at least 15.
Okay. So yeah, well, lots of throwing up, but I just need to drink a lot more and eat more so I can stay healthy and be able to summit.
How you feeling now?
Feel a lot better.
Yeah? Any good parts of the day?
Coming down.
Yeah? Anything else?
That's about it.
My first big adventure was Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, and there's a picture of me at the summit right there with my dad.
Come on!
Having trouble keeping up?
I'm gonna waste you. Totally waste you. There it is, buddy.
It was about 8 or 9 in the morning. You could see the whole curvature of the earth. It's pretty impressive and definitely inspired me to want to be a mountaineer.
All right, making good progress here on Bold Peak. Got a little rope section here. Going up that point backwards. Going up that ridge right there. All right, so day today. What do you think, Cal? We made Pebble Creek here. All right, we got the team out on the glacier. Pretty soon here we will get our first view of Alpine. Top of Waterfall. Calvanius. 2 pitches down, how you feeling? Pretty strong. We're at about 18,000 feet.
Yeah, Larry Doherty. There he is. The man, the myth, the legend, quite literally. He's my hero, to be honest with you. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I want to be just like him. He's a doctor. He's a climber. He's an adventurer. He's run the Iditarod. I mean, he, to me, is the coolest person I've ever met. And he's taught me how to be a man, how to be a climber, and how to be a good person.
Larry helped me out getting on the ice. Mostly it's just being a role model, seeing all the mountains he'd climb from Everest to Aconcagua. And one of the big things that changed me in the realm of climbing is a present I got from Larry. It was a 70-meter half rope, and it was sort of a going away present as going to UAF and in-state college.
He goes, I don't know how to think of
That's so nice.
That's sweet.
Tell him what it is.
But he knows what it is.
It's a rope.
It's a rope. It's a, yeah.
It's a half rope, and then
Dalton's got the other
Dalton's
half.
got the other
He
half.
gave me that half rope and gave Dalton the mate to that half rope.
Spoiled us.
You spoiled us so much.
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
Congratulations.
I want to use this like right now. Why can't we not ice
Yeah, I
climb?
know. Like, we gotta wait.
Which really sealed the deal for me staying in the state.
I would say Larry kind of
Lucky
taught me the
time.
fundamentals.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yo.
He taught me how to climb right. Really what his premise was is like, get into it. I'll teach you the fundamentals, and then from there you can build off that and go do your own thing. And that's pretty much what happened. Is like, you know, I at some point I kind of was getting really good at basing down the fundamentals, and then Calvin kind of took off with Gabe and I, and we started doing our own thing, and rest history, I guess, so far.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going hard. What are we doing, boys?
Look at that. What do you guys think of that?
It's thin, but I mean,
This is pretty cool, man.
you could probably climb it. It just seems thin.
That looks pretty good to me. I mean,
How do you can see gaps? I mean, I guess as we're going to check out, we could wrap down and get to see.
the volume of water here is just too high for like this time of year to be freezing, because we haven't had super cold temps. So, you know, we're gonna scope it out and see what we can find.
My day of ice climbing starts with a good night's sleep. Because as you know, in order to perform at your best, you need to sleep somewhere along that line. So typically I get a nice night's sleep and I wake up and I drink, you know, good cup or two of coffee, drink some coffee, and then I eat some eggs. It's always good to have some eggs, but you also gotta know that, you know, there's a chance you might fall and die. So you might as well eat something you love. You know, I eat chocolate cake in the morning so that I climb, just in case I fall and die, because, you know, might as well eat something you love.
Well, my typical day typically starts off with knocking on Gabe's door because he won't get out of bed. But other than that, getting the gear ready before the climb is important, especially checking over everything. Lead climber. You got your helmet. You've got all your layers on top. You got your harness.
I do. It's in my backpack.
Okay. Especially checking over everything. Gabe. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, I'm not kidding. He forgets everything all the time. But yeah, getting everything assorted is really important. Harnesses, screws, draws, all that stuff. And then getting to the climb.
I'd like to say that we get an Alpine start when we go ice climbing, but typically we're pretty lazy because we don't really have to. I mean, you don't really have to wake up at 4 a.m. to go climbing in Alaska, which is nice. You can wake up at 8, 9, you know, get all your stuff together, throw it in a bag, go drive out, you know, to wherever we're climbing. Sometimes we'll have a longer approach, like a few miles on a river or hiking on a trail, or sometimes we'll just drive right up to the climb, like on the highway, which is nice.
Max, I'm good. You're good. I'm good. You're good. Okay. 2 Rebel Smoothie surprises and a Gabe normal.
Anything else?
I think it should be good, right?
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
We will.
I'm always trying to volunteer to lead the first pitch.
Usually we'll row Shambo for the lead, or you know, whoever's feeling stronger can take the first lead.
You were a frozen icicle, that's why.
I asked you if you wanted to climb it and you said no.
Okay, let's ask Gabe.
I want to be the best, and sometimes the best way to prove yourself is just be the first one on the ice.
Open that slider. Open that slider. No, Rochambeau aids. Let's see what Gabe says. Because I guarantee Gabe's gonna be on my side. Hey, Gabe!
Once we assess who's leading, then that person will lead the climb. The other person will belay. Typically, that's a rock, paper, scissors match.
Gabe already decided.
That's not how that works.
I also drove, and this is my truck, so...
Okay, I also supplying all the gear.
You need to belay more, because you...
No, or we need to belay more.
Why does Calvin need to belay more?
Yeah.
Calvin...
I'm like...
Because you don't understand. It was negative, like, 12, and we were sitting there, and he was, like, on this wall for, like, an hour and a half.
We do like to make fun of each other quite a bit, and I think that does kind of take away some of the, like, anxiousness that you'll get when you're about to do something really big.
It's the fact that we don't want to let each other down, essentially, because we know if we come up that wall and we didn't do what we were supposed to, we're going to get hammered for it.
I would put a V-thread where he's at right now. I'm going to tell him that. Gabe! There's not much good ice above you. I think that would be a good place to put a V-thread. Like after that wall you're in front of, it's thin. It's very thin.
Yeah, I do it there too, Gabe. I know, let me know when you're off the way. Okay. First time I led, let's think. It was about a year ago. And it was, the first time I led was with Calvin on Barber Falls, and he put in the screws and the draws, and I just climbed up and clipped in as I went. And that was my first, semi-lead. It was like the third.
Mock lead.
Mock lead, yeah. Fourth time I'd been ice climbing. I was like, I'm gonna lead Calvin. So we'll do this. Well, then we went to beer climbs, and that's whenever I actually led. And that was a lot of fun. That was whenever I knew I was like, dang, I really want to do this, like a lot. And over the years I've led, over the 6 months I've climbed in my lifetime, I led things here and there. Me and Calvin came out to the highway, led PFM wall, and a few other things. And then we, fast forward, we went to Valdez. And the three of us, me, Dalton, and Calvin, we led Bridal Veil.
All right, Dalton. Coming up the first pitch of Bridal Veil. What do you think? WI5 indeed.
Yeah.
Almost harder than I had anticipated. No joke.
On Yuri.
About real far.
And a few other mixed routes here and there. And that was a ton of fun and extremely difficult. Never would have expected Bridal Veil would be that immensely challenging.
Is he going?
Man, you sure taking a while.
He's taking out this screw.
Okay, lower.
He's ready. All right, lowering.
Well, the highway is a lot different than most places, because most places, to get to big ice, you have to hike out 6-10 miles. The highway, however, there's big ice all along the highway, and it's right there on the road. Some people worry about ice falling on the cars, but I don't see that being an issue at all. Good.
Nice talk to you, mates. See you here, man. Good stuff, man.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed.
I used to love the visitors, but today, whenever 7 cars had pulled over and there was 10 people watching me as I started my first lead of the season, I was just like, God be with me. This might not end well.
Barfies!
Screaming barfies are rare phenomena that occur only when ice climbing. Basically what happens is, as you're making your way up the ice and you have your hands above your head, all the blood flows out of your extremities, and then when it's really cold, your fingers start to get really, really cold, and then as you shake out, blood rushes back into your hands, and the feeling of the warm blood shooting back into your frozen fingertips is what ice climbers call screaming barfies, because it feels like really bad.
From the other side.
Set! Go! Calvin is currently speed climbing, which is very, very important that you stay fast on belay, because at any point in time there's a lot more likelihood that he's gonna fall. So you gotta make sure you're staying on top of it, even when the rope's cold and gets worked up in the ATC.
Did you see it? At the top he slipped. 240!
Yeah, buddy.
Ass face.
Hey, did the screws go in the ice good this time, or did you have a problem? I can't do it! That screw! I can't see thread!
Well, when I first met Dalton, it was freshman year of high school in a biology class. And my first impression of was just kind of this little hyper kid, kind of looked like a bunny rabbit with his buck teeth. So he got made fun of a lot. He was also super short, so we called him Smolton, you know, really bad ADHD. I had kind of known of Gabe, like a little bit. I had heard of him before. And I always thought, you know, this weird kid, Gabe, like he's got a big nose, he's a dorky little guy. We're probably never gonna be friends. And Dalton introduced me to him, like, oh, it's Gabe, you know. And then Gabe and I started talking about finance, and we started talking about real estate, and I'm like, oh, this guy's actually pretty cool. And then, you know, Gabe and I just kind of got this bond, and then we got Dalton over here who's super easy to make fun of. So Gabe and I are just slamming the crap out of Dalton all the time, and Dalton's like, man, why did I introduce these two? Because we were all just making fun of him all the time. But ever since that moment, I mean, we kind of just bonded. But I think the turning point was probably last year. We went on a caribou hunt together, and we had planned it out a lot and like in advance, but it kind of ended up being this last minute thing because we weren't sure if it was going to happen, and we kind of just threw everything together and drove 1,000 miles north to go kill some caribou. And when you spend 5 days with a couple guys in a van, you tend to bond pretty good. So I would say that's the time when we really just kind of clicked. off in a second here. Like maybe one of these.
It depends on what we're climbing, though.
This
we
guy
can go a little further.
Okay.
If we're climbing that,
No,
that looks pretty thin.
The one in the middle.
Yeah, the one right there.
No, not that one.
The one to the left of the dagger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good.
I think trust is essential to climbing, and the reason I say that is because if you can't trust your partner climbing, then you can't climb efficiently. Just simple things like calling out when to climb on and belay on and take off belay. Those calls are super important, and it's really important that you can trust your partner knows what he's doing, as along with just, basic understanding of the climb. I mean, everything boils down to efficiency, I feel like, in my eyes, and also keeping each other safe. I guess I should have mentioned that before. That's important. But I think trust is essential in climbing, and that's probably the biggest reason.
Try to get in the rock before you
I think in order to have trust with somebody, it's really crucial that you have a personal connection with them, like you're friends with them, or maybe there's somebody that you know really well. I think that's really critical because in order to actually trust somebody, you have to know what their capabilities are. You have to have been through experiences with them and seen them persevere through hardship.
Nah, up right, Gabe. Sign that AIDS.
Up in that pull out.
Yep, sign that AIDS.
That's like
Dalton and Gabe, before we started climbing together, we went on this hunting trip. We went up to the North Slope, and we were kind of forced to rely on each other's abilities up there. And I think that was a really pivotal moment in our friendship because it kind of launched us into being able to climb together very efficiently and very easily because we all had this fundamental trust for each other just because of what we had done together, So I think building experience and building relationship with people is a definite mandatory precursor to being able to trust them.
Ah! That looks terrible. We'll slack.
Oh, shit. You gotta give him slack, dude. Well, he's hanging off the
slack.
Hanging off the draw. Slack.
Yes.
Comes out Did it actually move over? Yeah, he did. Watch it get the dry
Yeah, Gabe.
Let's go!
Essentially, when you go climbing, if you can't trust somebody, that takes your mind off the climb. And in order to perform at your best and accomplish everything you need to accomplish for that day, such as leading a pitch or pulling someone up, you need to have your mind totally focused on what you're doing. And you can't have your mind totally focused on what you're doing if you're trying to focus on what someone else is doing or what they're not doing.
Yeah, Gabe! Let's go! Who's gonna do it? You got it, buddy!
Yeah, you would have swung out pretty far.
You think you're sturdy enough? Don't even place the road, keep going. What does that even clip to?
A screw, a bolt, an anchor.
Okay.
I don't trust that slack, that tap.
Oh. There you go, bud. Get up there.
It's far, man.
Really?
It's a ways.
Is there any other pro you can place?
Oops.
Aren't most fracture lines towards the top on icicles? Okay, Gabe.
Yeah.
Most fracture lines are at the top of icicles, so just try to be careful when you place your stuff.
Well, this isn't free hand. You got the support.
Yeah, Gabe. Slack!
You got it.
Slack!
Are you gonna take that draw? Woo! Yeah, bud. Try to keep it still as possible. Damn. Damn. Oh yeah. That was nutty, Gabe. That was nutty. Again. Are you gonna?
They're a big part of my life, and they sometimes, you know, the insulting and the, you know, roasting each other can get to me, but ultimately at the end of the day, you know, we're still boys, and we're always going to be that way.
Doesn't matter what we're doing, we're always pushing each other to be the best, and that's really what climbing is about. I consider us just, you know, brothers.
It's kind of like a brotherly, like, you know, BS with each other, you know, like, you know, punch each other in the shoulder and mess around, because we've gotten to the point now where it's like, you know, we're like brothers, practically, so that's cool.
Commitment is super important, because if you don't commit to being somewhere, then the trust factor comes into play, and it's hard to trust your partner if he can't even commit to something like baldy runs.
In climbing, a lot of commitments you have to make. One of those commitments is training. In our case, we use baldy runs. Now what that means is getting up at 5 a.m. and going and climbing a mountain in the morning, just because, you know, that's a good way to start your day, and it's certainly useful whenever it comes to climbing.
I would say I'm guilty of this, but Gabe has a lot of history for being late to baldy runs. But yes, I would say commitment is extremely important.
Some of us don't do anything but show up late to school, finish school, maybe go drive our sister to practice, and then go home and do nothing all day. That's some of us. And then some of us are going to work all day, every day, Monday through Saturday, and occasionally on Sunday. That's me. I don't typically show up to baldy, at least not in the morning. I did it after school, because it still mattered to me. Because what matters to me in climbing is not necessarily being the guy that everybody sees every single time doing the mountain, but I do want to be the best, no matter what I'm doing.
I'm a very big commitment person. I think commitment's really important, and I really value commitment, because when you commit to something, you're basically giving your word saying that you are on board with this. You're committed. You want to do it. And so I really value commitment in my friends, commitment in my climbing partners, because it really honestly just sucks when you're planning this climbing trip and then your buddy flakes. Like, nobody wants that, you know? So I think commitment's really important, and I think the best way you show commitment is just through having a good track record, you know, showing up. If we plan out a trip, you're on time, you're early, you're asking what you can do to help. And so when I see that from Dalton and Gabe, that really encourages me. For an activity like this, you kind of have to, you know, say that you're in or out. That's just kind of simple as that. Ice climbing has definitely made me a lot tougher. I think back to when I was, you know, probably 13 or 14, just this little wimpy kid who couldn't do much. And I look at myself now and I see a lot of growth. And, a lot of that is the reason why I like taking out people who are newbies or, people who aren't experienced. It's kind of a generational thing where it passes from generation to generation. We have this wealth of knowledge that continues on. And it's really important and appealing to me to, pass on what I know, because I see it as kind of like a waterfall effect, like I share what I know, and then, the people I share with will share what they know. And I think it's a pretty cool thing to do.
So bad. Get up to where Bodie's at, you can get a good rest.
I think it's a sense of accomplishment, to be honest. I think that, well, I think it's two things. I think one is the rush of excitement I get, especially getting, and my second reason would be getting other people out on the ice. I think I've really enjoyed teaching, and I've come to find that the past couple of years, especially taking new people out ice climbing. It's a really rewarding feeling, just like taking new people out fishing or hunting. It's showing, somebody a new recreational sport or a new topic in their life, and it just gives them, I've seen ice climbing give people doors and opportunities towards progressing to mountaineering and stuff, and that just makes me thrilled. It really, I don't know, brings me joy, I guess.
Seeing that passion in somebody else and like passing the torch along is a really cool feeling, because it really reminds you of what you used to be like. So in a lot of ways, I saw myself in them as I watched them progress and get a lot better. And I was quite inspired by both of them in a lot of ways, because they both exemplified a lot of traits that I see in my dad and I see in other people who I look up to, and they definitely keep me motivated and keep me getting after it.
Well, mine's already melted
that's
off.
probably all
so-
we need then. And do you have propane?
Yes.
Okay.
White gas.
Lounging?
I was considering bringing the teepee. We could use that as our meal tent. We could set up the table in there with chairs, or something like that.
I would bring some like camp shoes. I'm gonna bring some, because I don't want to wear my Musketeers the entire
I think
time.
I'm just gonna bring some big boots. to get my
Oh
feet
yeah,
warm.
maybe I'll do that instead actually.
Yeah, just bring some big boots.
Make sure everybody's got their, crampons, harness, blade devices, helmet, headlight, flashlight.
Yeah, make sure everyone brings a headlamp, definitely, and extra batteries. You probably can, yeah.
Water jug. Who's bringing
I
that?
got that.
Okay, I'm bringing a tent. I'll bring a heater.
20
TP.
liters of
Say you're gonna ask your dad.
Oh, I'll ask my dad. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll bring an aid kit. You'll bring an inReach.
head trauma.
I got toilet paper.
Do that. WS6.
You're so close, Dalton.
It's okay, because we need that.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Calm down, Calvin.
Okay, then we also got
Keep it PG.
candlestick.
That looks easy.
That looks pretty easy. If it's in fat enough.
Let me see that actually. I want to look at that. All right, I'm already seeing my route.
Dalton's like, we got to get some of the moss.
Go periods. Climb on the side.
Bodie's gonna be at my house 8. We're gonna load up my wheeler. We're gonna leave here by 8:30. We're gonna be at your house by 8:45.
That means he's gonna be at our house by 9:15.
He's going to wake us up at 8:45.
No, it means you're gonna sleep until 10 and miss it, Gabe.
Yeah, that's part of.
And then you're gonna forget all your crap.
Kennett Glacier, I hate that friggin' glacier every time you bring that up.
Kinnick for us was somewhat of a colossal issue.
It just forced us to really, have to think outside the box for a lot of things.
It was cold, it was like -15. And it was like kind of a survival situation, I would say.
If you could imagine everything going wrong at the same time, that would be us.
Bang that out as much as you can, especially the front.
First day was mostly a ton of fun, as the first day of any adventure is. We didn't really know what was ahead of us. After the snowstorm set in and covered our already 2 feet of powder, the four-wheelers weren't going to make it back, and we originally had enough gas to make it both ways, but with the chugging through the powder and our lack of understanding where the trail was, we had ran out of gas at that point, and then our wheelers sort of didn't do so good. They sort of broke down on us, and we were essentially stranded.
So we've been stranded out at Kinnick, and we've resulted to eating frozen Red Bull out of a can with our fingers.
We're using this cup.
Let me see that. Like this. This goes like this. That's some calories right there.
Now I know how exaggerated the TV shows are of how to stay alive in the wild.
That right there, that'll keep me going for about 2 hours. So.
How about our food rationing?
The joke is.
The second night came around, and that's when I feel like it's weird. Like, as humans, we all just kind of clicked, and we all created a little team, and we just huddled up, found our roles, and we went to it.
With a stall axe, ice driftwood.
Try chopping actual ice.
Try stacking
That's
actual
like
ice.
snow aids.
Nah, it's ice aids.
All right, so you want to explain to us what we got going on here
Oh,
today?
it is here. Found it. Okay, so a little operation. I'm the brick mason cutting the bricks, and Gabe's the bricklayer laying the bricks. So we make a little fort here. little fire action, little seats action, get away from the wind.
With this wind chill, we're probably sitting around 0 degrees. It's pretty cold. We just dug a log out. Basically, we're staying here another night because we have to.
We just called and
There's a storm brewing that direction. You can see it on the camera, and no one can come pick us up tonight because our wheelers are donezo.
Everyone, you guys were creating fire. We were creating snow blocks to build the around the fire, and it just all really worked out. I was really impressed with how we did. We recreated a situation that was not so good and a little frightening, to be honest, and was all fun and jokes when we were passing around the meat stick.
All right, Grandpa Jim, AKA Big Jim. This sausage is literally saving our buns right now, so thank you.
Bussin' mussin'.
it's pretty dang good.
That was ridiculous. Why'd you just say that?
Because he's not gonna understand what it means.
The whole point of that trip was to go out and ice climb, but we had to deal with all these setbacks and all these different things that went wrong. But in hindsight, it was a lot of fun, and it really tested a lot of our thinking on our feet abilities, our problem-solving skills, which is just as important, if not more important, than our climbing skills. So I think Canuck was actually a crucial, even training, if you can call it, I think.
All right, so in order to haul wood back, we took one of our duffels and emptied it out. And here we got a climbing sling and a beaner. Just lock it on there, lock it on here, and then throw it around you. Now you have a perfect sled. Looks pretty good.
What time is it?
It's 12:52.
Really? Wow. It's almost 1. Well, we've been here for like 3 days. No water, no food. Pretty ready to get out of here. What about you, Gabe?
Pretty well in the same boat as you, Calvin.
Stopped feeling my toes a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
Sleep was non-existent. Got like maybe 2 hours. So right now, Gabe and I are buddied up in my bag to conserve warmth because we don't have any fire or source of heat. Our propane ran out on our first or second day. So we've been huddling up together to stay warm. Yep. I'm feeling like really stiff and cramped. Cause like we've been working a lot and like haven't been able to stretch much or anything. Haven't had much to eat or drink. So I'm like getting a lot of cramps. Throat's super dry because I've been drinking in like a while. Yeah, just generally not feeling that great. So there's that.
So we just met up with a guy back about 1.5 miles, and he gave us wood, dry wood, which is very, very beneficial, especially getting a fire started this morning because basically the only warmth we have is supplied from our own bodies, and if we don't get a fire started, we're going to be in for a rough couple hours. Another big important reason is because we need to get this frozen bottle of water over here melted. Yeah, shit's starting to get a little real. I will say that.
At first, it was, just kind of, okay, well, we're in a sucky situation, but we're doing fine. And then the second day, when we didn't know we were going to get, out or not, that's when it really clicked. And I was like, okay, well, now we're starting to get into a survival situation here, and we need to create some heat.
This morning.
Yeah, like since I went to bed last night.
Feel that super cup? That fluid litigation? Yeah.
Woo!
We had Bodie's dad come out and rescue us. He brought chili and some warm clothes, and that was super awesome. He got out there the third day, and everything was all right. But we couldn't get the six-wheeler started. Fortunately, there were these guys who had some friggin' dope trucks.
The second rescue team.
Second is best.
They were jacked up like 6 12-inch lifts, 37s, 40-inch tires. And they came and towed the 6-wheeler out, and we had this whole squad moving down Connect Trail towards the parking lot. They saved our buns. They had cold refreshments, Chex Mix, and Gabe took a couple fireball shots, so he was all good to go to drive 4-wheelers.
You can really turn any situation into a good situation if you got the right people.
In the moment, it sucks, obviously, and it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I here? But after you're done with it and after you get back, you're glad that you went out, even though it didn't go the way you wanted it to.
Setbacks and failures are just as important as accomplishments in the mountains, I think, because 1, they teach us how we can be more ready next time, and 2, we can really learn from our setbacks so that those setbacks don't happen when it comes to the real deal. Those setbacks can be anything from knots to rescuing someone from a crevasse. The more you know, the more knowledge you possess, I feel like the better, and knowledge comes from failure.
Discipline in climbing involves forcing a mindset into your head to make the right decision when you get in a tight spot. Because when you're in that tight spot, you can't always think clearly. Everybody has trouble. But it's the discipline that shows through when all your training takes over and your brain doesn't have to.
I mean, it's a fairly difficult climb. It's probably WI6. You get up in this little nook and everything's just kind of overhung above you, and you swing anywhere and you just got ice collapsing on you because it's all just shattering and breaking. So I thought it was not safe to climb, so I decided to come down.
Well, I'm thinking I'm gonna lead this one because there's bolts, which is gonna offer better protection, and then potentially set up a top rope on this for you guys to climb. Or if you guys want to climb this, or we could go do something else. Either way. Indeed.
You got rocks behind you, you can put your feet in.
Dude, so this guy Chris Lindsay, he's the admin of the ice climbing forum on Facebook, and as I was climbing, apparently he just came by, took a picture of me, and then uploaded it to Alaska Ice Climbing for this route that I was climbing called Widowmaker. Hey, why don't you go on to Alaska Ice and go and look up Widowmaker. Widowmaker? Widowmaker.
Okay, Widowmaker. It's on the side of the PFM wall?
Yeah, look at the picture.
Oh, wait, is that you?
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's a dope shot, man.
Yeah, the guy, Chris Lindsay, just came, and I guess he was taking pics of me and uploaded it as a new route in the guidebook.
The reason I think I like ice climbing so much, honestly, is because I've never done anything that's more difficult or more scary. There's no feeling like it of just having mere millimeters of steel sticking into frozen water and having your life hang off of that, it's a pretty jaw-dropping feeling.
How many draws? They all have draws.
Climbing is something that you have to demand 100% of your focus to. You have to devote 100% of your focus to it. And that in and of itself is what's so special about the sport.
I would say climbing has really changed me in a way to respect the terrain. I've come to have more of a, I guess, a connection with these mountains and these ranges, and the fact that they're unforgiving. And what's shown me the most is just having respect, especially up here, for climbing.
Climbing really is not about the top, it's not about summiting, it's about the journey, it's about the climb, which is the same thing with life. I mean, life, to an extent, is about the things you accomplish, but it's also, the bigger part of it is how you accomplish those things. I think the way that you get there is a lot more important than where you're actually going. And so I think that's, I mean, it's the same exact thing with climbing, you know. Getting to the top, you could helicopter to the top of a mountain, but it is in no way the same as actually climbing the mountain.
What climbing has taught me is that you can be in a tight spot and things can hurt. Physically, mentally, it's gonna hurt a lot. But whenever you look back on it a couple days later, it's not gonna hurt anymore. You're just gonna be proud that you did it.
In life, there's always going to be challenges, just like in climbing. In climbing, there's the very hardest part we call the crux. Whether that's ice, rock, mountain, doesn't matter. There's always a crux of a pitch of a climb. That's the hardest part. It's really the same thing in life. I mean, there's 1,000 cruxes you'll go through in your entire life, but it's how you deal and how you overcome those challenges that make you who you are.
As I said before, it's 100% of your mind paired up with 100% of your body. And that is a lot like life right there. Anybody can think about an ice climb that they're going to do, and they can think about how awesome it's going to be and all this stuff, but if you don't get out there and do it, then you're just sitting there thinking. It is 100% worth it to get on top of your goals. and to push through it.
To be able to overcome that fear and take that leap is truly what makes you a human being, really. So do it. Take the leap of faith, jump in the cold water, one ice tool after another.
If you commit to something and if you put time towards something, you can really do anything, you know, no matter what it is. Like if there's always something in your life you've wanted to do that you've always been too afraid to do it, just go out and do it. What do you have to lose? You only have one life. I mean, what's there to lose? Go do it. Go after it, get after it.